Welcome back everyone to a new tutorial, the third video in the series I do believe. Last time we talked about variables, this time we're going to talk about operators. Now what is an operator? An operator is something that basically changes the value or causes some type of change in a structure. Now this structure could be a built-in variable type such as an int, float, or something like that. Or some programming languages will actually allow you to overload operators and make them do whatever you want. For instance, you can turn the I'm going to go off topic a little bit, but some languages this is the this is a bitwise shift operator. This would shift bits to from some value, let's say 4 shift this shift right 1. That would actually make it 2. Well, it depends on what depends on some factors we'll talk about in memory, which is endianness and stuff like that. But basically, being off topic a bit, there's a data structure called stack, which is I'll talk about in a bit when we get to the structure, the data structures and all that, which basically allows you to push and pop things off. If you guys are interested, go ahead, research it. But you can overload the bitwise operators to basically do push and pop operations for you. Now, is it safe? It depends on person programming it. I've created my own stack, completely. I'll talk about it later, but damn, when we get into the C++ stuff, I'll actually make a stack with you guys. But very simple, like 1 plus 1. There's the add operator or the plus operator, whatever you want to call it. The minus operator. The asterisk is actually the multiplication operator. The slash. Now, for everyone who's like, what's a slash? I've never heard of a slash before. The forward slash. It's not called a forward slash. It's called a slash. My professor is just like, oh my god, every time someone says forward slash. So it's completely hilarious. And then you're looking at this last one. You're like, wait, is that a percentage sign? That doesn't really make much sense. Now, most languages include what is known as I think it's the module operator. I think that's how it's pronounced. Now, what it does is it does division. Now, it doesn't do division as how you think it does. Now, module operator or the percentage sign operator, whatever you want to call it, doesn't work with floats. Now, the reason why it does this is because what it does is it doesn't return, like if I did 5 mod 2, which is pretty much how someone would say it, you would not get 2 back, which would be what you get if you had an int, because 2.5 as an int is actually just 2. When you take a float and you have and you're trying to put in an int, all it does is cut off the decimal basically. It's quite hilarious. That's why you get started things with rounding and all that. But pretty much what this would do is actually return 1. And you're like, what? Well, what it does is it returns the remainder. Now, in floating point, this doesn't make sense because you're already using decimals. This operation's mainly for ints because it returns whole numbers only. Okay? But there's all kinds of other operators. There is now, depending on your language, these may or may not be the same thing. I typically will, let me go with this one. This is one I showed you last time using the array. This is the, let me just no, I'm not going to get into this because it's going way before, like, hey, have you ever guys heard of pointers? Have you ever done memory address calculations? It's like, whee! But basically, that operator increments spaces in memory. Okay? That's basically what it does. You're like, what? Now, one thing it might be hilarious about, and this is something a lot of people don't understand, is the comma operator. Now, most languages will not allow you to do anything to this, but pretty much what it does is, let's say you have this, you make this. Most languages will say, okay, you're done. You can either use an equal sign, do something like that, But what this operator does is it allows you to pretty much concatenate a new line after it. Now, the chances of you doing this with functions and stuff like that is 0 or really small. I'll talk about functions later, but the only reason you use it for functions is parameters. But basically, this operator allows you to. It's typically used for function parameters and doing something like x equals 0, y equals 5, and you can just keep going on without having to redefine the type 1,000 times. It helps. There's also bitwise operators I'm not going to get into, but there's the XOR, the OR, the where is it? The AND. See what else? I'm trying to think of which ones I don't want. What I don't want to talk. Oh, of course. There's also your conditional operators, which is your greater than, less than, greater than, less than equals, greater than equals. Most languages use equals for comparison of equal to. So, alright, now this is the one that gets a little confusing because some languages do it one way and some languages do it another way. Some languages use it like this, and other languages like C++ use it like this, and this is the not equals to. I don't understand this one. I really just don't understand where this one comes from. Oh yeah, that's the one I'm forgetting. You have the tilde and the not operator. Now, what this is I'm not going to go into it, but because it's really complicated. But I'm going to show you a real quick binary stream just to show you guys what this does. Alright, let's say we have some binary that looks like this. What this operator does is it transforms that into 101. Basically, if it's 0, it's now a 1. If it's 1, it's now 0. Basically, that's what you can think it does. I'm not going to go into. I think it's called the ones complement operator, which converts it. I'm not going to go into it because it goes into the memory stuff. I'm not dealing with that right now. Dealing with operators, but basically that's what it does at the bitwise level. I think that'll cover all the basic operators. You can guys, of course, you have the parentheses. Basically, they're for sectioning off stuff. Then you also have these operators. This gets into a different topic, which is scope, which we'll cover in the next thing. That's typically what those are. Then some languages like C++ and Java, I think they're both the same. I think they're the same in both, which is the scope resolution operator or namespace operator, whatever you want to call it. But basically, it's 2 colons right after each other. I won't get into that stuff until we get into scope. I'm not going to go into things like namespace and stuff like that until like libraries or something like that. But especially not namespace because there's very few languages that actually do it. And I think that covers most of the basic operators. Now, once again, we'll review real quick. What is an operator? It's some operation. It's pretty much a symbol that causes some operation on a data structure. That is the basic idea of an operator. Now there's probably gonna be 1,000 people who are like, no, this is what an operator is. No, this is what an operator is. No, this is what an operator is. What I'm trying to do is just give the most basic definition of an operator I can think of. There's probably 1,000 different ways to say what an operator is, and based on your perspective, it can be completely different or whatever. But that's how it is in my perspective. Now, typically for me, when I start saying operator, I stop thinking what an operator is because I start thinking of what the operator does. So when we get into actually when we actually get into programming and operator stuff, and like I just went through the list of a whole bunch of common operators. Like most of the bitwise stuff is typically not in most languages. It's in things like C, D, C++, things, high, low level languages, not like Java where memory is pretty much hidden from the user. Pretty much any system that allows you to use memory kind of has bitwise operators in it. But that will be the conclusion of what this is. So once again, operators, they change things. There's no more simple definition I can give than that. They change things. So I will see you next time.